One family financed both sides of the Napoleonic Wars, and whoever won, they profited. You're about to see how European wars weren't just won on battlefields. They were won by whoever controlled the money. And for over a century, 5 brothers from one family built a banking network so powerful that kings borrowed from them, governments depended on them, and empires rose or fell based on their decisions. This is the story of how money became more powerful than armies. In the late 1700s, most banks were local. If you lived in London, you banked in London. If you lived in Paris, you banked in Paris. There was no way to quickly move money across borders, and that made financing wars incredibly difficult. Governments had to physically transport gold and silver to pay their troops, which was slow, dangerous, and expensive. But one man saw an opportunity. Mayer Amschel Rothschild was a coin dealer in Frankfurt who understood something nobody else did. If you could move money invisibly across borders using letters and credit, you could control the flow of power in Europe. So he sent his 5 sons to 5 different cities: London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt. Each son opened a bank. And suddenly, the Rothschilds weren't just bankers. They were a network. Here's what made them untouchable. The Rothschilds didn't just move money. They moved information. They had their own courier system, faster than any government. Carrier pigeons, coded letters, agents on every major road. When Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo in 1815, Nathan Rothschild in London knew about it a full day before the British government did. And he used it. While everyone else panicked and sold their British bonds, thinking England might lose, Nathan bought them all up at rock-bottom prices. When the news finally broke that Britain had won, those bonds skyrocketed. He made a fortune in a single day. But more importantly, he proved something. Information was currency, and the Rothschilds always knew first. Now, here's where it gets darker. During the Napoleonic Wars, Nathan Rothschild was financing the British government. Meanwhile, his brother James in Paris was working with the French, and his brother Salomon in Vienna was funding the Austrians. Officially, these countries were enemies. But to the Rothschilds, war was just business. They created something called a bond network. Governments would issue bonds, basically IOUs, and the Rothschilds would sell them across Europe. It didn't matter who won the war. The Rothschilds were paid back either way, plus interest. They turned war into a subscription service. And the more wars there were, the more governments needed to borrow. But moving money on paper was one thing. Moving physical gold was another. In 1814, the British needed to pay their armies fighting Napoleon in Spain and Portugal. The problem? Napoleon controlled most of Europe. There was no safe route. So Nathan Rothschild did something audacious. He smuggled gold through France. His agents disguised shipments, bribed officials, and used secret routes that even the French military didn't know about. Millions in gold moved right under Napoleon's nose. The British army got paid. Nathan got richer. And Napoleon had no idea the enemy was being funded with money that passed through his own territory. By the 1830s, the Rothschilds weren't just lending to governments. They were influencing them. If a king wanted to build a railroad, fight a war, or stabilize his currency, he went to the Rothschilds. And if the Rothschilds said no, it didn't happen. In 1830, Belgium wanted independence from the Netherlands. They needed money to build a new government and military. The Rothschilds funded it. Without their backing, Belgium might not exist. The same thing happened in Brazil, in Austria, and a dozen other countries. The Rothschilds became kingmakers, not through armies or elections, but through loans. But here's the part nobody talks about. The Rothschilds didn't just fund wars. They made wars more likely. Think about it. If a government knows it can borrow unlimited money to fight, there's less reason to negotiate peace. Suddenly, conflicts that might have been resolved through diplomacy dragged on for years because someone was willing to write a check. The Rothschilds created a system where debt was normal, where governments spent more than they had, and where financial power became invisible. You couldn't see it on a map or a battlefield, but it was there, pulling the strings. And the terrifying part? Most people had no idea it was even happening. Kings thought they were in charge, but the man who controlled the loan controlled the king. This system never went away. It just evolved. Today, governments don't borrow from one family. They borrow from central banks, from bond markets, from international networks that look nothing like the Rothschilds, but function the same way. Wars are still funded by debt. Countries still rely on invisible financial systems to operate. The names changed, the technology changed, but the structure? It's the same. Money still moves faster than armies. Information is still the most valuable currency. And the people who control the flow of capital still shape history more than the people we elect. The Rothschild Empire eventually fragmented. Their influence spread thin across generations and continents. But the model they built, the idea that financial networks could operate above governments, is stronger now than it ever was. And if you think one family controlling Europe's money was dangerous, wait until you see who controls it now.